It's Sam Delaney live at Drive. The Bank of England has announced today that the UK's main interest rate will remain at 0.5%. Despite speculation, it could be cut. Interest rates have remained on hold since the bank cut its key rate to 0.5 back in March 2009. To explain what this means for you and I is the CEO of Darlington Building Society, Colin Fyfe. He joins me on the line. Hello, Colin.
Hello there.
Thanks for joining us. What does keeping interest rates at 0.5 mean?
Well, it means we've got lower rates for longer, but not quite as low as was predicted in the media recently. For borrowers, it's terrific news because this is sort of unprecedented levels, and it's rather cheap at the moment if you're buying for a house, for example. For savers, unfortunately, it's not quite as good a message because there is a lower level return on your savings, but it's still a great idea to save up for that future purchase or for a rainy day.
People were talking about it going. I mean, if it goes any lower than 0.5, people were talking about negative interest rates. Was that ever a possibility?
Well, it has been in some other European countries, and I don't think anybody could rule that out at the moment. But I'm hoping that today's action by the Monetary Policy Committee means that they're just taking a cautious approach to see how the economy settles after the referendum vote, how the negotiations with Europe move forward. And I guess the thing that the markets really need is stability, and the sort of announcements in the political world will hopefully help with that.
Why was the Bank of England considering it, do you think? Do you think they ever seriously were, or do you think the rhetoric coming out of the Bank of England post-Brexit was sort of designed to sort of impact markets in itself?
No, I think the Bank of England had genuine concerns, and they still will have post today's announcement, because there were certainly signs that the economy was slowing down. There was a lot of talk about businesses delaying investments because of the uncertainty after the Brexit vote, and there was also concerns that interest would delay purchases, and that would add to this just a hiatus. Might need the economy to be boosted. And I'm sure that was one of the reasons why the Bank of England were seriously considering it, but on balance have decided that it's not the right time.
So in real terms for punters like you or I or anyone else, does this make it a good time to go and try and get a mortgage and buy a house?
It proves to be a great time to do that. I mean, I know that we're sitting here just now with a 1.45% mortgage for our area of England, and if you'd asked me a few years ago whether I thought we'd be lending money at that level, I would have been very surprised. So you can do that now, and I guess the key is if you can afford it, it's a good time. If you need to take some stock and make sure your finances are in order, it's also a good time to do that too. Nobody should really stretch themselves at this point, but if you're in good shape, it's a good time to borrow.
But what are property prices like, and how likely are lenders to actually dish money out at this stage?
Well, there's a lot of competition in the mortgage market at the moment. There's an excess of supply of mortgages, which is much higher than the demand for mortgages. So I would encourage anybody who's thinking about it to speak to their building society, I would say, but to do that now, because there is a plentiful supply. Of course, there is a risk that property prices will drop. There has been talk about that in the media too. I think we're going to have to see a little bit more stability before we really know what the outcome of that will be.
Absolutely. And will this help recover the pound to the dollar, any of this stuff?
What we're hoping for is a bit more stability in the pound as well. The pound has, the drop in the pound was huge. This should see the pound stabilise. I think it's going to take a bit of time before we see it climbing. I don't expect that anytime soon.
Okay, thanks ever so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Colin Fyfe there, who is the CEO of Darlington Building Society.